I prepared this on the plane and way back today. There's a lot of turbulence. All right, we are.
That slow the plane up or not?
No, didn't slow the plane up.
Slow as learning.
So my learning was Sam Lipschitz was on the plane. He spoke to me about Shvius. Even though he just said he told me you finished Yerushalmi Shvius just now.
He did?
Yeah. I guess I don't know. Maybe he has a chavrusa. Anyway, somebody else is Kofi learning Yerushalmi. Okay. All right, we are on that base on the base. And the truth is, we should start from base and off at the bottom in order to understand what's going on. Let's start from 4 lines to the bottom. All Rabbi Yehuda B'Amar. Rabbi Yehuda came in and said, "Time of Karbash." He said it's logic at this part. Actually, even before that. Let's start 3 lines before that. Tani shloshim yom lo isei. 30 days you can't come. Ma'u shloshim yom lo isei. Shmuel Mar Malvus Chaver Stam somebody loans his friend without a stipulations to time limitations. And Roshai Tovat Shloshim Yom, we can't demand back the loan until 30 days have elapsed. Oh, Rabbi Yehuda came in Umar and he said, "Timer, what's the pasuk teach us this? Karvash Nasa Sheva Shnasa Shmita." Says the 7th year is coming, the Shemitah year is coming. Lo Ish Nasa Sheva Ish Nasa Shmita. Oh, this is the 7th year, the Shemitah isn't obvious. Matamar Karvash Nasa Sheva Shnasa Shmita. Why does it have to say both? Shalo Tomer, you shouldn't say Kol Shem Shom Ena Rashali Tovo. That any Rashali Tovo. A lender should not say Rosh Chodesh Elul. For the next 30 days, I'm not going to be allowed to claim my loan from that individual. And after 30 days come, I'm going to have to cancel the loan because of Bash Ksafim. Because it's time for Shemitah's Ksafim. Loik Venus, I'm never going to be collect, so I'm not going to go and loan him money, right? Because I loan a guy money, which for sure I'm never going to be able to collect. 30 days, Stam Havo Shloshim Yom, I can't collect, and Rosh Hashanah I'm not going to collect. The Fum Kain Tzach Mem, that's what Pasuk says, Karvash Nasar Sheva Shnasa Shemitah. Shemitah is Karvash Nasar Sheva. When Shemitah is about to approach, meaning Rosh Chodesh Elul, nevertheless, and Shnasa Shemitah, and of course afterwards Shnasa Shemitah is coming, the Shemitah year itself, nevertheless loan him money. Despite the fact that you're going to lose it, loan him money nevertheless. Basically give him a gift. And says Amora, V'lochin Amar, it's not a question, it's a continuation. V'lochin Amar, Babar Memo, Rav Amar, Rav Maska, B'Shem Rav. And he also said, Amavas Chaviros, Amanat Shlo, Tovo, Hashvius, Misham Tozo. When somebody loans his friend money on the condition that he will not be able to claim the money, Shemitah, nevertheless, is Mishame. So here too, even though he's not going to be able to claim it for the next 30 days, when Shemitah comes along 30 days later, Shemitah is going to cancel the loan. So Shemitah cancels the loan, despite the fact that for 30 days he can't claim it. So for here we see that Stam Havash Shloshim. In fact, the Torah says, loan him the money, even though 30 days hence you're going to lose the money. From this we see that Stam Havash Shloshim Yom, and that's why he can't come during the 30 days and collect, and that the Torah is telling him, despite the fact, give him the money. However, then we learn another price which learns Kover Shnasa Sheva Shnasa Shemitah differently. And perhaps then there's no proof in there as to Stam Havash Shloshim Yom. Because Rabbi he has a drush like this. Rabbi Shmuel says, Kover Shnasa Sheva Shnasa Shemitah, the 7th year is coming, the Shemitah year is coming. Matamar Kover Shnasa Sheva Shnasa Shemitah. Why does it say the 7th year is coming, the year of Shemitah? Shlo Tomar. It's redundant. Shlo Tomer, you shouldn't say Sheishanim Karmola Fanav. For 6 years, his karma was because his vineyard was in front of him. For 6 years, Sadel Fanav, his land was in front of him. Lachar Sheishanim Beshmek Safim. Lachar Sheishanim, after these 6 years, Beshmek Safimu. In other words, he should have made money for the borrower during those 6 years. Now, in the 7th, at the end of the 6th year, during the 7th year, when I'm going to have to, if I loan him money, he's not going to ever pay me back, so I'm not going to loan him money. Let's just say, despite the fact that you feel negative about this, you feel, all 6 or 7 years, when he had his own resources, he should have used them, or then I would have loaned the money because I would have been able to rely on his resources, but now he comes to me at the end of that time, and it's only a ruse basically to get me to be moichel the loan. I'm not going to give it to him. That's why it says, even though this 70 years coming, there's a Shemitah, nevertheless you should loan him the money, despite the fact that you bear the risk not getting paid back. Okay, halacha gimel. Ein edim zanasim zomi at shezumos atzmon. Atzmon here means not themselves, but rather the essence of their testimony. This has not become a zomi until the essence of the testimony has been disputed. Ketzad, how so? Omer midim on the bishponi b'shorag as nebush. We testify against so they killed the soul. Omer and they said to him, "Hechatem midim, how can you say this? Sharei nera gazeh or horei koyoy manu osayom." This guy who was killed, or the person who you claim did the killing, was with us on that day. B'makaponi in another place. Eidim zomim, it's not eidim zomim. That's not considered to be atman shel eidim, the essence of their testimony. Actually, it does make sense, the selves of the testimony even. But anyway, this is the case which is eidim zomim. Of course, they said to him, Hechatem, midim, how can you testify, Sharei atem yisim manu, Osa Yom, you were with us, Bimoko, and Plori elsewhere. In other words, so therefore the essence of the testimony is eradicated because they couldn't be Adam. They weren't there to witness it on that day. They were somewhere else, right elsewhere in the world. Harei L'Zaymin, this is to be Zaymin, V'ne'erogin al PM, they are killed on the basis of the testimony of the individuals who come against them. If other people come and are amazing, the people who are amazing, and these people are say you can't testify because you were. Other people can testify as to the event, and witnesses, and the same witnesses, and they'll say, "No, you're with us elsewhere on that day." But then another witness comes to testify on that event, and then the Adam Mizimim say, "No, you're with us on that day." So it keeps them mounting. Even 100 groups, kulam yarogu, they shall be killed. Because they're Eidim Zomim to say that they're lying. Eidim Mizimim to say that these people, Eidim Zomim man, are lying. Rabbi Merabina says, is this, are they all painted with the same paint? In other words, it's not logical that 100 sets of witnesses should come, and we should pass all of them and kill them all, because one set of witnesses says that they're the Imanu Ha'isim. So he doesn't like our Mishnah. So he said, we don't pass them like him, but he doesn't like our Mishnah. He says, only the first group is killed, not any of the subsequent 99 groups which come along. Okay? Says Mar, no. All right. But Imam said, don't misconstrue that last line, Mishnah. It should be V'hu shener ga. Both of them must be a shalater. So change it. If the first group was killed, then we let them stay dead. Aval im lo ner ga, if it wasn't killed yet, it should be lo b'dohi detina ein regas ela b'kasri shar b'vad. Not in that case do we say that the first group is killed and no other group. Rather, in that case, even the first group is not killed. The reason why the first group is not killed is because since so many witnesses came together, it clearly indicates that there's somebody here is telling the truth, and somebody, and among the two sole witnesses who are we're saying otherwise, they are the people really in cahoots and are making everybody else into an exomi. So therefore, the bottom line is, when it says we only let the first one stay dead, that's if they're already dead. But if they're not yet already dead, we don't put them to the basis. In other words, if 100 set of witnesses come, and the other set says Imano Yisem, and all 100 of them, we say, it's something special here. We're not going to kill any member of the 100 witnesses which came to testify initially.
They all come once. I thought they come in succession. Each one is examining the previous set.
No, not necessarily. That's what we're saying. We're just saying. We have 100 sets of witnesses for the prosecution, and one set of witnesses for the defense, which passes their law. Okay, a very interesting case, and I should tell you, ahead of time, the Bavli and the Yerushalmi argue. The Bavli has principle, the Rava brings down, that lo cheshin l'gam lo parcha. Unless somebody claims he had a fleet-footed camel, we don't claim that he could get very quickly from place to place. We just assume normal course of affairs. People get to a place at a certain course of speed. So therefore, since we don't assume Gam Parcha, we can rely both L'Kula and L'Chumra on that. L'Kula to let somebody off the hook based on that, L'Chumra to put somebody on the hook based on that assumption that people travel at a normal rate. The Yerushalmi argues. Yerushalmi holds not that way. They testify that he killed somebody lewd on, let's say, the first day of Nisan. Others come and say, how can you testify that? Me say, wonder you were with us with us on the fifth day in Kesari. You were with us in the fifth days, and you could not have come from Lut to Kesari in 5 days. It took longer to get from one place to the other. And yet another group had said, how could you guys testify that you were in Kesari? And the use of the other ones said, in other words, they're Mezim, the Mezimim, right? It's Mezime, they're Mezim. They say, how can you, the Mezimim, say you were on the 10th month, you were in the, you were the 5th day of the month in Kesari, if Vasara B'chodesh B'tzipori, you were on the 10th month, the 3rd day of the month at Zipori, and they're obviously considered to be more than 5/3 apart. So therefore, since that's the case, so we have two sets of fishy circumstances. The Zoymim are fishy vis-a-vis the Nidon, vis-a-vis the person in question, and the Zoymim cast dispersion on the Zoymim themselves. Right?
So that's the thought, that's the scenario that I thought earlier, that it's in succession. Each one is made.
Right. So each one is succession. Right. That's right. This is a succession case. So in this case, we say Hahoreg and an Arab. Nobody's killed. Not the criminal, nor the Eidim Zomim. Why is that? Shema Eidim Zomim Hain. The Narag is not killed because there may be the Eidim who originally came against him Eidim Zomim. Va'edim ein Naragim, but the Zomim are also not killed. Shema and Esamu, because maybe they said the truth. Because after all, we had there was a question asked to the Zoymimim whether the Zoymimim were telling the truth, right? I'm sorry, that is the question. No. The Eidim are the question. In other words, there were Eidim and there were Zoymimim, right? Eidim Zoymimim, then there were Eidim and Zimim, right? So don't kill the Nara, we don't kill the criminal because we're afraid maybe the Eidim Zomim were Eidim Zomim, right? But we don't kill them either. Why do we call the Eidim Zomim? Because they themselves are in question.
Yeah, but they want the defendant to be killed.
Yeah.
So they're shown to be Eidim Zomim, but then
Right.
by another pair, but the other pair is shown to be Eidim Zomim by the third pair.
Right. So we don't kill anybody in this scenario. We don't kill the Nerag because maybe the Eidim Zomim lied. We don't kill the Eidim Zomim because maybe the Eidim who amazing them are liars. Because there's a third set of witnesses, as you put it.
All right.
Okay? Okay?
It would seem that after the third witnesses, you still believe the third witnesses. Nobody's resolving the third witnesses. So why should we believe that?
Because no one's contradicting the third set of witnesses either. Like you said, no one's resolving them.
Therefore,
You should believe them and don't believe the second, the first.
right. So you still.
So what's the answer? Because I said Yerushalmi allows for Gama Parcha. Yerushalmi allows for fleet-footed camels. But only L'Kula, not L'Chumra. In other words, we don't say, and therefore let's say the Eidim Zomim were telling the truth when they said that they were somewhere else, because that would assume that they were telling the truth. And that would make us use the spar of Gama Parcha L'Kula. So we use a L'Chumra. So we use the spar of Gama Parcha, always L'Kula. Excuse me. To let the guy off the hook. If it lets the guy off the hook, To let the guy off the hook if it doesn't let the guy off the hook. We always go to Kulu with the Smoro Gamla Baruch.
So does Bobby say that you're killing the,
Gamla says we never assume Gamla Baruch. If a guy claims it, so maybe we'll believe his claim, but we never assume it. Okay? They ain't zombie not killed until after Gemara Din, after the psak is rendered. Shari, it's Stokim Omrilim Achiori. Stokim say they don't kill the zombie unless the victim, the intent is killed. Shneimar, it says nefesh tachas nefesh, a soul for a soul. So Omrilim Chacham said back to them, Valok Farnemar doesn't really say Vasis no kashers Omrilasos Lachim. Says you have to do like you plotted to do to your brother. It says your brother must see you still alive. You came matam lomer nefesh tachas nefesh. So why does it say a soul for a soul? It means that it has to be after the person who is being judged is a Gemardin, even though they haven't yet beat out the sentence. Okay? Says Gemara, Rabbi Zira said, Adamras teaches us, the truth is, it's not explicit what exactly is going on. It's really identical to the Baba Kama. So it's not clear if it's going 100% on our Mishnah. This discussion here. Zera said an Eid Zom is not read. Is Eno Nifsal bebasid. He's not to render possible by based. Only on his own accord it becomes possible. Now, what does on his own accord mean? If he testified Edu Sheker, and within that Edu Sheker he said something which is true, so then we don't believe him, right? Because part of a statement was a lie, we don't believe any part of a statement, right? That's me. But the question is, who renders him puzzle? If he himself renders him puzzle, then only that statement, anything affiliated with that statement would be considered puzzle. But what about if Basin puzzles him? So Basin can puzzle him with Mafreya. Meaning any testimony said from the time he said questionable testimony can from here on in be puzzled. Okay? So what do? Do we say Basin puzzles him, or we say he puzzles himself? If he puzzles himself, he only puzzles himself in the testimony he said and anything attached to that testimony. But not anything before or after that testimony.
he can't pass himself for anything beyond what he's testifying?
Well, it depends. If you hold AIDS on my friend, if so, or not. If you hold AIDS on my friend, if so, by Basin actually, then it means that Basin puzzles him from here on in on everything. But if it's al piatzmo, it's only things which he connected in his false statement, not anything he said later on. Okay? So, it says Gemara, a puzzle of it should be basroya achas, so for example, Mitzvah as well. It means when he has one warning, and it says multiple things on that one warning, write a witness, then that's considered, they're all considered to be one testimony. Otherwise, they're not considered to be one testimony. Says Gemara, Vitani came with us, some Rabbi Yosef said, where is this true? Which they keep the edus, which they are Atzroyos. Two witnesses and two warnings. Avo be'edus achas v'asroya achas. If it's one testimony and it's one warning, kol edus shebat lo miktsasa bat lo kula. Any testimony which part of it is canceled, the entire thing is canceled. Okay, so so that again, if you have it at one time simultaneously, whatever he was warned about at the same time that was warned about at the same time falls under the same category.
So is that Mikana Lahaba or just for the present?
It's Mikana Lahaba. It's supposed to be Mafreya. It's not retroactive. It's only when testimony said at that specific point in time. I guess so. That makes sense. I didn't think about it, but I guess so. Okay? So he says, by two groups of witnesses and two sets of warnings. There was one testimony and one warning. Everything is canceled. Any statement he made together with the false statement, that goes on his record. Says Gemara, says Gemara, well, what do you mean? Here it's a belligerent mouth. It's an attacking mouth. What is this business? They call Eidu Shabbatim Mitzvah Kula. Hayan Deminimo Ba'asarbis in Nisan. Shekonav is ashore. If they testified about a guy that he stole an ox on the 10th day of Nisan. I'm sorry. I made a mistake when we were carrying. Hayan Deminimo Ba'asarbis in Nisan. The Eidim Zomim testified that Ruvain. No, I did it again. Hayan Deminimo Ba'asarbis in Nisan. The Eidim Zomim come and they testify in court on the 10th day of Nisan. They come in court and they testify on the 10th day of Nisan. What do they testify on the 10th day of Nisan? That that Reuven killed an ox 10 days ago. I stole an ox 10 days ago. The Tavach Machar, and he slaughtered or sold it. Now, instead of a Chamisha, change this to the Chamisha Asar. No. It said I misread it again. It should be Shagan Sashar B'Nisam B'Tavach Umachar. Basora B'Nisan. I have here on the side that he stole it. He stole it in the 10th. No. 1 second. Let's try it again. And they were testifying 10th day of Nisan. Shukarav is assured that the guy stole the ox back of Nisan on the first day of Nisan. The Tavach Umachar, and he slaughtered and sold it. Now I changed it, but I'm not sure right now. Basar Nisan on the 10th day of Nisan. Betes of Nisan. Foods and Betes of Nisan. They are found to be Eidim Zomi on the 15th day of Nisan. So the Geneva was on Rosh Chodesh. The Tfirim Mechira was on Yud. And then one second. One second. Okay, I think I got it now. Again, they were standing on the 10th day of Nisan, and they were testifying. A guy stole an ox, Bechab Nisan, the first day of Nisan. The Torah Machar stole it on the 10th day of Nisan. It says, B'chamisha b'tzivah should be Yud.
So,
today, the day they came to court.
The same day that they came to court is the day that he slaughtered the
right.
ox.
That's what they testified. They were lying. Everything was a lie. The Huzman, they were found to be Eidim Zomim, which should be the Tes Vav in Nisan, on the 15th day of Nisan. So, yeah, but that's not material. I think you asked that when you learned this Baba comment too. Just pick it out of a hat. So the date doesn't matter. Kol Edushay Heidu. Any testimony they testified should be Me'asora B'Nisan, from the day they first testified, Achan Rishar B'Nisan, until 15th day of Nisan, 5 days hence. Ma'afreya Reim Psulit. If Ma'afreya, it apostles, right? So it should. Then now there's a question, because
first off, it's here you have no gas, but you like
what do you have here?
this is
The Yal Kika?
yeah.
But
And there's no
there is no Yal Kika in the Yerushalmi.
I know there isn't.
Yeah.
But But that's what's weird, is you have the view of Abaye that's stated later, here without any name.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. That's a good point.
What's the opinion of
It's, that Aiden Zolman is Mafreya.
Yeah, but the Gemara is going to push that off. Gemara's not going to pass in that way. Gemara's not going to pass away. This is really Gemara's question. But it says here, Kol Edus She'idu Me'asar B'Nisan Chamisha Sar B'Nisan Mafreya Nifsal. Everything is possible retroactively. So some are, remember, not true. Tipoter, not every he answers the Chlam. He says Tipoter, but median love krach echad. Only stuff which was tokdei dibur, like Edish Shabbat Mitzvah Shabbat Kula, anything which is part of the same Masorah becomes batal, but not everything else. The leishma minakum, and there we can't derive anything for this. The Tani came and we learned a similar thing. It says, "Ahayu," it should be hein harishonim. Let's say that these people, these witnesses, testify 3 years of chazaka. 3 years, they testified to the 3 years of chazaka, right? So and they were to of course in the middle too. Who's in Rishonim? Now if they were found to be Edom Zoyimim on the first year, then their whole testimony is null and void. Why? Because once the first year is missing, the claim sale is detached from the claim chazaka. Even if they could prove the next 2 years, but since the claim was it happened in the first year, so therefore, there's nothing to attach the chazaka to anymore. Chazaka be contiguous to the taina, to the cause of the chazaka. It's not.
And
right?
It's the same claim. It's not a different claim.
The same claim. But what if I'm going to understand. If they're found to be the Einzim on the second year, then the person has testimony on 1 year of the 3, the first year of the 3, because then that year is not severed from its source. But B'Shlishis, if they're found to be psulim about the line about the third year, Harei Hu Lo Kishtei, he's got 2 years. Harei Hu Lo Kishtei, Shtei 2 years. Now, Ve'echi Amar B'Mina Lo B'Krach Echad, what are you going to say? That it was all Basachas? It can't obviously be Basachas, right? Because of all Basachas, everybody will agree it's possible, right? Mm-hmm. So it must be they testify each 3 years independently. Now, if you held 8 Zayim, it becomes Pasal Mafreya, so then there should always be not allowed to say anything about any one of the years, right? So Leis and Shema Min Klum, that so here, I don't know what I wrote here. Ve'echi Amar V'midim Alav B'Krach Echad, how would it called one sandwich, one thing connected together. No, I got it now. Ve'echi Amar, what did it say? Midim Alav B'Krach Echad, that was or Basachas, can't be. Because then you shouldn't be able to derive anything from this. It's not exactly what Leishma Min Klum mean. Works means all the time. It means if you're going to say the Eid Zom is a Mafreya, that none of the testimony should be accepted on any of the years.
Whether you testify 3 different times or 1 time.
Right. It should make no difference whatsoever. It should be puzzle, period.
Right.
The thing is, now it's bothering me. Why should you be puzzle, period? Why should you be puzzle, period?
If you
what?
hold it's Mafreya, it's possible.
Yeah, it's showing because for the first time I lied, which is the second or third year. No, it's not careful what I just said. It's fakir. What I'm going to say is that this must be that it wasn't all Basachas. It wasn't all Basachas. It was Basachas, then we wouldn't be able to accept them in any part of their testimony. So it's got to dafka be that they were separate testimonies. They were separate on 1 year, on the second year, or third year, separately. So what it means here, if you would say that, again, Vechi Omar, how would you like to say it? Mina la b'krach echad, Lishma Miklum, you shouldn't be able to derive anything. So therefore must be that, it must be that he separated, they testified separately on each one of these 3 years. And that's why we don't join them together. We don't join them together because they're separated, each year was separate. And if each year is separate, so then, what comes out?
And in the third year, you don't believe.
What?
So you do believe the first 2 testimonies, and you don't believe the third testimony of the third year. So you can still hold that it's possible mafreya, but since these are individual testimonies.
Yeah, but that's bad because then it comes out that it is possible mafreya. The only reason why it doesn't work mafreya here is because it's not one hasra. Well, maybe I'm wrong. What would you want to say? Say it again?
No, I'm just trying to fit the words into the Gemara, I guess. The thoughts that you only say lamafreya is pasul lamafreya if it's one testimony for 3 years.
Right.
Right? So if it's 3 testimonies, 1 for each year, so in the first 2 testimonies, first 2 years, is okay because he was only resigning on the third testimony, the third year. So you can still hold that lamafreya if it's 1 testimony for all 3 years. But if it's 3 individual testimonies, then lamafreya doesn't kick in.
Yeah, now I understand what I wrote here on the slide. My one is baloney. The shmamina here is a regular shmamina. Let's say there's no proof in this brisa whether Eitzam is possible mafreya or not. Because this is not talking about, it's clearly not talking where it's bas achas, right?
Yeah, that's what I think I was trying to say.
It's no, right, so therefore,
You can still hold that lamafreya is possible, but it doesn't apply in this case because there were 3 separate.
right, it could be the bas achas, he'd be put nifsal mafreya, but here he's not nifsal mafreya because it's not mafreya from which to start. Because it could be starts in the second year from the third year, so therefore there's no. So leisa shmamino klum just means in this case we can't derive whether eitzim becomes possible mafreya or not. That's right, because we're assuming that they're taking on the assumption that bas achas passes and not bas achas doesn't passel. Here we don't know when he said his edushes. Right, wasn't bas achas. Okay, so there's no right to mafreya nifsal or not. Very good. So it says the Gemara. Lo asyo elai, they are going to do something because the only way this is going to work is if you have multiple testimonies. Here said Adamra eitzim and nifsal basin el me'atzmo nifsal. Be that as it may, what it comes out is that eitzim doesn't become possible by basin, it becomes possible by himself, meaning that he has to become whatever he said in the same basachas becomes possible. And that's why over there, since it wasn't a bas achas, that's why it doesn't become possible. Right? It's not a proof for Lamafreya because Lamafreya would be proof if he lied on the first one, but the Eitzim is the problem. I don't know how to prove whether it's Mafreya or not. I know how we prove. Not from this case of the Chazokas. It's not possible to prove anything about it, if some mafreya or not.
In this case, because it wasn't the bas achas, it was 3 different testimonies for 3 separate years.
Right. No, not because of that. Yes, that's true. It was 3 separate testimonies, but even in the case of bas achas, wouldn't be able to prove anything. Because there would be, even without it, so it'd be possible anyway. Because it's all one atzmos, it's all one testimony. In order to prove the Eitzah is mafreya nifsal, we need to bring a proof that he becomes possible from the day that he actually lies. We don't have a proof of that. Where's their proof of it? from the day as opposed to when based in Branson. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm missing something, but it seems to me that there's no proof here.
Well, what does Ella Meyatzmo mean, so?
Through his own testimony.
It's false, obviously.
Obviously, it's false testimony, right. But that passes even the truthful parts of his testimony.
Well, again, that's a principle of
Right. But we tried to argue on that. Basically, okay, I see what the shotgun tie the Gemara is here. Basically, the case in which we want to bring down whether 8 times my friend if so now is the case of the gun of a tabach u'machar. We want to say that everything testified between Yud and Tesvav Nisan is possible, right? That would be 8 times my friend if so. In other words, he lied on Yud Nisan, and let's say on Yud Beis Nisan he was a witness on a get. Out of the blue. We wouldn't believe him because 8 times my friend if so. Everything in the middle became possible, right? Then we said, no, not necessarily. It could be that there is only because it was Ba'asachas, that whatever had to do with this testimony of Gon of Tavach U'Machar becomes possible. But not something to do with, say, a get. There's no reason to say it's possible for that necessarily, right? Then the Gemara is on to say, no, Gemara says more than that. Gemara says more than that. Gemara says that's no proof because they testified everything together. They're going to have a chumachar always together on the 10th day of Nisan. So that's his possible for all that testimony. It's true. He's possible, not possible for anything else. No, what I said before is right. He's not possible for again. He's just possible for that testimony. That's all he's possible for. We don't have any proof in there that you're possible from the 10th to the 15th. There's no proof there that AIDS are nifsal mafreya. And there's more. And I'll tell you that basachas meshpudu masba. The next thing we bring out chazaka is only to prove the basachas makes a difference, right? Because we want to say, and not basachas also makes a difference. Because if you're going to say that basachas doesn't make a difference, not basachas doesn't make a difference, then all 3 years of the chazaka should fall no matter what. They should all fall. No. If you're going to say basachas matters, give me 1 second. All right, let's go through the whole case. Cases like this. Initially, when I say 8 becomes possible al day atzmo. What does the atzmo mean? He has to only what he says in one fell swoop. In his testimony. He says, well, how can you say this? What about a guy who testifies the Gneva was one day, Tichum was another day, and then he was found to be Muzam a 3rd day. Is he possible from the day he testifies to the day of his Azoma? Right? Lemafreya. From the day, meaning retroactively, from the day of his Azoma, retroactively to the day on which he lied, right? Says, no. That's only true if the testimony he testified on the 10th day of Nisan, whatever day, 10th day of Nisan's case, in this case, he testified all of his testimony with Asachas. Then it comes puzzle on everything he said in that Pasachas, meaning on the Gneva and Tfichim. But his true psul doesn't say it. He doesn't become truly puzzle. Because it only becomes puzzle de atzmo, what he joins together. We don't go back to a mafreya. Then when it says, I want to prove to you that whether something is Rabas Achas or not is a critical issue. I'll prove that to you. From the guy who lied on one of the years of Chazakah. Nevertheless, if he lied on one of the second or third of Chazakah, we still give we still give what? The credibility, right? Why? He's chashed to lie on this. The answer is clear that we only Eitzayim is not nifsal mafreya, right? Well, but maybe you would say, well, he's choshen in this area, right? Because he's lying about part of it, so let's say he's lying about all of it. Must be, no! If it wasn't asroya achas, if it wasn't one testimony altogether, which clearly isn't, because otherwise the whole thing would fall. So then we separate the things out. He's kosher, doesn't matter. Since you don't say Lamar Freyun if so, right? Now the truth is, even if we said Lamar Freyun if so, we wouldn't necessarily possible retroactively from before he lied. But there would be a svara to say, look, he lied about this chazaka, let's pass him the whole thing, right? So obviously we don't say either because they don't go back retroactively, or because in order to pass him, it's got to be all basrei achas, and it wasn't all basrei achas. So from here we see when do I pass an Eid Zemin completely is only basrei achas. Not lemafreya, and not when it's not basrei achas. That's what the Suda is trying to tell us. Okay? So that's when it ends up. On our base, Apostle, both actually should happen. We should pass them on fair, and we should pass them on everything which was suspect, everything to do with the suspect testimony. By virtue of the fact that we do not, it must be that we hold the Eid Zayim is not nifsal bebasted, rather it's only by things which he himself trips up, and Eid Zayim also is not nifsal mafreya. Both things. Again, if Eid Zayim is nifsal mafreya, it's because basically would be suspect him. They would brand him suspect retroactively. And if Eid Zayim was nifsal, even Shalom Vasach was basically would brand him as the suspect. Right? Even across separate Eiduyos. We don't see that. We see either it's only on stuff he makes himself suspect on, and by spreading the category of Eidus, like Eidus Shabbat Mitzvah Balakula from some one part to the other, and also it's not even if he's suspect on part of it, he's not suspect on the other part of it. So obviously it's not a function of basis, it's a function of how he's magid his Eidus in Beistin. Okay, how he connects things and how he spreads the psul therefore from one to the other. Okay, that's our halacha. Halacha ches. Based on 2 or 3 witnesses, a person is put to death. If 2 is enough, why is it mentioned 3? It comes to draw a power between 3 and 2 and 3 and 2. Just like 3 can be made in 2. So to 2 can be made in 3. Now I feel Mehar is no even true about 100. Tamil 18 because it says Edim, plural. No matter how many, it doesn't differentiate in the pluralities. They both would be Zomim. They're not killed unless all 3 are Zomim. Now if you may have no people that 100 witnesses, the author found the Edim Zomim. Tamil 18 because it doesn't differentiate. No, really 2 is enough. Once they're amazing 2, they get the punishment. The third guy is only to be machm around that third guy himself, and to make him like the other 2 guys. Im kach onash hakosa nitpal over aver over aver. And the Torah punishes those who join the aver, even though they're not really part of the avera, like they were themselves. Much more so, Yishalim schar, because Baruch will pay reward l'nitpal osi mitzvah, and somebody joins him with those who do a mitzvah. The crazy mitzvah as if he does the mitzvah. Ma'ashtein yitzachem and korvos, just like 2 people, one that is found to be a korvos apostle, some tail day, this is known void. Av shlosha, so 2, 3, nimtzachem and korvos, one that is found to be a korvos apostle, this is tail day, this is known void. Not if you may, it's true, no, it's true even of 100. Tamlar Edim, because it doesn't differentiate. It says, when it's true, but in the Fashos, by the Fashos, we don't differentiate between 2 and 100, they're all one group, part of the group. But by the Mominus, but by the monetary, we split up the group arbitrarily. This guy made us bishar, the testimony is sustained by those other people who are kosher. Rabbi Meir said, but the Fashos requires manchis warning, bisman shalo, and then when they don't have warning, when they do have warning, it joins together to psulim, and we say nim tzarech l'karv apostle. But there was no warning. Mayasu, and therefore they didn't join together by giving the warning in common. Mayasu shneachim shiro be'echel b'sharagas nefesh. 2 brothers see somebody killed. What are they supposed to do? Not put the murderer to death? It must be that it's only if they create an artificial bond between two of them. Otherwise, we say that Kosh Baruch Hu lets it pass and we can judge the case. Says, let's just say Din Momus and not Din Fashos. I have to mention both in our Mishnah. Because my shiur nemar Din Momus lo nemar Din Fashos. They just said one, not the other. They would have said Din Momus. I would have said Din Momus Hakam, which are lighter. Shloshim Mezamin and Shnayim. 3 can be Mezim to 2, but Shnayim 2 should be Mezimin. I'm sorry, and Shnaim, I'm sorry, it's 2 and 3 and 2, and Shnaim is Amin Esther Shlosha. They got the Ain. And 2 could be Amin 3. And that would be true. Take the word Minayin. The Shatter still does all this. So I feel even 100. So, but nevertheless, and here the Shatter still throws in a couple lines. Here throws on line. Dina Foshos HaChamurin. More severe capital crimes. Perhaps Shloshim Mezimim as a Shayim, perhaps 3 people can be Mezim 2, Veinstein Mezimim as a Shlishi, maybe 2 people can be Mezim 3. So that's why Tablomar Eidim, going back to the Gemara itself, Paul says Eidim teaches no matter what the ratios are, each side can be Mezim the other. Says the Gemara, right? Oilu Nemar Dinim Fashos, or Nemar Dinim Mos, would have said the Dinim Fashos and not Dinim Mominus. They would have said the opposite. It would have said Yisrael was the Dinim Fashos HaChamurim, since they're severe. Shnayim Tzim is Shlosha, 2 can contradict 3, and Shlosha should be again Mezimin as Shnayim in order to prevent the guy from being put to death. And Afilu, it should say again, Afilu male, even if it's 100. Here too it should say Dinim Mominus HaKalim. What about lighter Dinim Mominus? Perhaps there I'd say Shloshim Mezamis or Shnayim. There 3 can be Mezim 2. Veinstein Mezim is Shloshim. Maybe 2 cannot be Mezim 3 because it's not proper. So says the Gemara, how do we know that everybody can do it? Hafilu Mea Tamulomar Meidim, because there's Eidim in plural, no matter what numbers you deal with. On each side, the numbers are meaningless. Let's just go a little bit further to Amrav. Hayishtaim Ramas Mechalonze. And 2 people saw the murder from one window. And 2 saw the murder from another window. So there's one guy warning in the middle, and between the 2 windows. If part of the group on each side, meaning one out of the 2, sees the guy and the person on the other side, or persons, Harelu house becomes one testimony. Lav and not Harelu Shteidu, it's considered to be 2 testimonies, and therefore they can testify independently. Therefore, it means this achos b'im zomemes. One of them found to be edim zomim. That group, and the murderer, he v'hei nerogen are both killed. Ashtiya, the second group, is potter. Okay, because obviously they were considered to be 2 separate testimonies. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, let's see what it says here. 2 people see from each window. So 1 is warned in the middle. When part of the 2 see each other, the 2 in one window see part of the 2, meaning 1 out of the 2, sees the guy in the other window, and the other 1 out of 2 sees from the other window. They become to be, they're considered to be 1 witness testimony. The Rav is not a Rekon Shteidu, it's considered to be 2 testimonies. But you shlosha. What if you have 3 people from each window, and one of those 3 in each window sees 1 in the other window? Well, but it doesn't pass the rest of the group. Because if you have 2 in each window, and 1 sees 1 in the other window, and the other sees 1 in the other window, so then a ray joins the groups together. But if you have 3 in each side, and 1 of each group sees 1 in the other window, so we drop that person. We drop those 2, cancel them out, and then we have 2 left on each side who didn't see each other. So then the testimony is valid based on the 2 remain after you drop off the ones who saw each other. Okay, so that would be okay. Rabbi Yossi said, Shlosha, we have price like this, that 3, it's not the same thing as our Mishnah. We have 2 and 2, and they see part of it, then we cancel. But we have 3 and 3, we don't cancel. Okay? We'll stop here for this evening because this Tin and Hacha is a new thing. It's actually, goes to the other next part of the Mishnah. Ari is tired tonight.